my doctor, my plastic surgeon, happened to be proficient in deep flaps. So he suggested it. I was like, I don't know. And he's like, yeah, we could use your fat. I'm like, ooh, you can use fat that exists in me and like redirect it. Again, remember, I had twins. So like I had a kangaroo pouch. All right, fine. I said it. Nobody asked, but here it is. And I was like, so you can like take this kangaroo pouch that's been weighing me down for years and make it into boobs? Say less.
Hey everyone, welcome to season 3. This is Shauna.
And this is Rosalina, and we're your hosts for Too Young for This Shit podcast. This podcast is not just about boobs, but a journey with cancer. We are young millennials, open about giving you our raw and unfiltered look into our lives. We are in no way medical professionals, nor are we offering medical advice. Any medical references are cited directly from public websites or from our personal diagnosis. Some topics and stories may be triggering to those who are fighting, have fought, or have loved someone with cancer.
Hey everyone, I'm back again ahead of the episode to share the final question for our special episode series. As a reminder, we want you to leave us a voicemail so we can hear your answers and share them on air. Our last question is for all the thrivers out there. What is it like to be a thriver, and what advice would you give to those who have been diagnosed? To leave us a voicemail, you can follow the link in our show notes. Once you hit start recording, you'll be able to leave us a message. This will be the final episode we air during October, so if you haven't had a chance yet, make sure to call in. We cannot wait to hear your stories.
Hi everyone, this is Rosalina.
And this is Shauna. Welcome back to another episode of the Too Young for This Shit podcast. I am so excited. On today's episode, we have Trish Michelle. Trish Michelle is a cancer survivor who was diagnosed with breast cancer in her late 30s. Following her diagnosis, Trish dove headfirst into advocacy work, serving as an ambassador for the New York chapter of the Breasties. She then founded the community-led movement Reclaim October to fight back against pinkwashing. Most recently, she officially joined the Breasties full-time as the organization's chief community officer. We are so excited to have Trish on the show today to talk more about her story, her advocacy work, and why pinkwashing is just not it, and all the better organizations you can donate your money and time to during breast cancer awareness and all year round. So Trish, thank you so much for joining us today. We're so happy to have you here.
I'm so thrilled to be with you. Thanks for having me.
So can you just maybe start off by taking us through your cancer journey?
How does everyone start? Like, I found my lump, right? Oh, well, that's how it was. That's how it was. Same for me. I found my lump, and the minute I touched it, I was like, oh, fuck, cancer. Like, I just knew right away. I guess I'll go back a little bit. So I have twin sons, and one of them had leukemia. He was diagnosed with a very rare leukemia in 2014. And so I guess that was my like first lesson in that like your shit can get rocked without warning, and that your body you can be housing something that you have no idea lives in you. So that's why the minute I felt my lump, I was like, cancer. It has to be. And so getting that diagnosis was hell. That when they say, oh, advocate for yourself, I learned very early on that sometimes your relationship with your medical team can be fraught with like struggle, right? Like I had to tell my doctor in essence, sir, why are you gatekeeping writing me a script for a mammogram? I'm not asking for you to pay for it. You're not the one administering it. Just write the paper so I can go. I think he'd said the same thing, which I'm sure many people on this program has told you, which is, well, you're too young. You're too young. And I was just 2 weeks outside of having a annual physical that I was told I was like passing with flying colors, except for maybe like low hemoglobin and low vitamin D. So I think that together with my age made him just so aghast. Like, you don't have cancer. I'm sure it's nothing. But something told me like, doc, do me a favor. You find the lump. I'm not going to point you to it. You find it just in case, right? I was like, just in case I'm dreaming it up. And he gave me a breast exam, which is my other complaint. I feel like they do it in such a perfunctory kind of manner because in their mind, your late 30s or 20s or whatever, it can't be cancer. So it's kind of like a pat and go. And so when he gave me that same pat and go, he was like, I told you it's not there. And I literally had to put my hand on his hand. And I said, but what about this? And then he like a little bit gave in. He was like, well, I'm sure it's nothing. It's probably like some sort of blocked something or whatever. And so the fight for the mammogram happened. And I'm like, damn it, I'll just find one of them trucks outside by the mall to give me a mammogram. Like one way or another, I'm getting this mammogram. So you might as well write the script, because if not, I'm going to be back here angry at you that you didn't. Anyway, so long story short, yeah, it was, you see the faces tighten up. You see everybody's eyes like dart left and right. And you're like, oh shit, okay, I'm not dreaming this up. It is cancer. And so that started the journey, if you will, the cancer journey.
It's insane too, because those trucks, you still have to be 40 years old in order for you to get the free mammogram.
Oh yeah, it's still hell. Like you don't even know, because you just think like, oh, it's out there like a carnival. Anybody can go. It's
Right.
still hell. But I figured like I was gonna get it one way, like I was gonna
Absolutely.
make noise one way or another. So yeah.
And honestly, who's it really hurt other than the insurance companies? Honestly, write the damn script.
Write the script. Start gatekeeping. Write the damn script and let me go about my business. And so, needless to say, he's not my doctor anymore. I took great pride in going back, not to tell him like, nah, you're wrong, I had cancer, but more like, give me my fucking charts. You will never see me again. So that gave me a little bit of joy, and amongst all the pain of being like a cancer patient. Air quotes.
I fired a doctor before. It actually is kind of, I don't know, liberating, especially after you don't get the care that you feel like you deserve.
Let me tell you something. And I said this, I just made the realization that, like, you know how when they say get your rage out in a rage room, and like that's a healthy way of getting some of that out. I feel that we are kind and nice people, generally, some of us, most of us, that like these are the avenues in which you can be a bitch with wild abandon, and you're totally justified. If it's a trash doctor that you have to fire, tap into the inner bitch and just come in there like in the movies, like curse it and yell it and making a scene. Oh, it's so good.
And essentially, that's like kind of pulling the cancer card a little bit too, because you have a pass to be just like a raging bitch.
Yeah, they're like, well, we did misdiagnose her, so I guess she gets a pass. Yeah,
absolutely. So you were able to get a mammogram. What was your diagnosis? Your full diagnosis?
Initially, they had said that I was stage 1 invasive ductal carcinoma, that it was just a small little lump that was in my right breast, like right outside of my nipple. And they told me I had the great cancer, all the things, right? It's easy. It's like, it's just a round circle. We'll be able to just scoop it out and you can go and live your life. But again, thinking about how my son's journey was with cancer and all the different roadblocks and complications, and even when things are textbook, there can still things that go awry. I was like, fuck that shit. I am not having a lumpectomy. Again, personal decision. But for me, I was like, I don't want a lumpectomy. I had this thing living in me and nobody can tell me when and where it came from. Like, is it a 3-month cancer, or has it been there for 3 years? Because once I found it, I wondered, how did I miss it all this time? However long that time was. So I was like, nope, I want a mastectomy. And luckily for me, because I would have never asked for it otherwise, my doctor, my plastic surgeon, happened to be proficient in deep flaps. So he suggested it. I was like, I don't know. And he's like, yeah, we could use your fat. I'm like, ooh, you can use fat that exists in me and like redirect it. Again, remember, I had twins. So like I had a kangaroo pouch. All right, fine. I said it. No one asked, but here it is. And I was like, so you can like take this kangaroo pouch that's been weighing me down for years and make it into boobs? Say less. And so that's what I decided, was to do a deep flap that everyone around me, mom, cousins, friend, felt so aggressive. Like, why do you want to go do this extreme surgery when your original doctor said you could just have a lumpectomy? I'm like, no, bitch, take it out. Body betrayal. I don't trust it. I want it out. And that, I think, was the second time I saved my life, because you have to take all this like imaging before you have these tests, like MRIs, PET scan, blah, blah, blah. On the operating table, my plastic surgeon found a second area of concern that had cancer that was like not detected in any of the imaging. So had I done the lumpectomy, they would have scooped it out and they would have told me, go live my life. And then I would have had this cancer that was just cha-cha sliding all up in there, unabated all this time. And so they found it. They're like, oh, change of plans. Okay, maybe you're not stage 1 anymore. Tumor board has met, and now you're stage 3 IDC, because this was behind my chest wall. Like, not even following the typical path. You know how they do the lymph node things, because the cancer usually goes this way, doesn't usually go hop over and go inwards.
Right.
And so it was 2 separate areas. So game changer. So not have surgery and walk away, have surgery, have radiation, have chemo, have all of the things. And yeah, it was such a whiplash. It really was. Like, I don't even know how I got through the time. I see some of these new survivors that like get diagnosed and like are able to live their lives, while I was like those like Victorian women that like took to their beds. Like, I like took to my bed and had smelling salts and didn't leave for like, I felt forever, because I couldn't function. I could not believe someone who was supposedly in touch and in tune with their body could be so ignorant to what was going on under their literal very nose. A mind fuck.
When you mentioned that at first you were at stage 1 and then all of a sudden you're at 3. Well, for one, I had a very similar experience too, where in the beginning they said I was stage 1, it's all good, you have the good cancer, like you said, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait, there's more. So I just feel like things are not as linear as one may think. There's just so many surprises that comes with cancer. Like you, Shauna, like you had to do like a second lymph node surgery too. So you were pissed off that you had to go back and do that all over again.
I think that was the maddest I was I mean, obviously I was pissed about getting diagnosed, but I think that was like the most mad I was in my entire diagnosis, when they were like, wait, psych, it's in your lymph nodes.
Yeah.
We're throwing you back in after your double mastectomy a month later to, have another major surgery. Like, that's, and honestly, and you have 2 young children while going through this.
Well, they were not young, but they were young. They were teens, and it was difficult because we had just gone through this with one of the twins. And when he was diagnosed, they said all the same things that they say to so many people, which is like, this is because we don't have any genetic predisposition. I'm not BRCA or any of the things. I have a VUS, which is a variant of unknown significance, meaning like question mark. You may have something, but we don't have enough science to say what that something is, or it could be nothing. But my son didn't have any genetic predisposition. And so when they told him, it's like a lightning strike, it's rare, it's just 1 in a billion. And then 2 years later, his mom has a cancer. That's a lightning strike, 1 in a billion. It really is destabilizing, because like, you can't trust yourself. You can't trust your body. You can't trust medicine necessarily, because they're figuring it out as they go along. They have a general framework, right? But we're so individual and so different. So like, who can you trust? What can you do? What's right? You don't know. You're in their hands. But yet the world is still going along. So yeah, kids still needed to go to school. Bills still needed to get paid. And I was just like, I have cancer. Like, how are people how is the world still turning? How am I supposed to raise kids? I was and am single, a single mom. How am I supposed to be a functioning member of society when I don't even know if I'm going to like live a day or 2 or 3 or 3 years or 4? Like, it's seemingly unfair, but that's just how it is, I guess.
Yeah, cancer doesn't discriminate, clearly, with your son, with you. Like, yeah, and the world just keeps going. Well, you are literally standing still trying to just process what the fuck is going on.
Yep.
That's so hard. What was your full treatment plan? So
I had the mastectomy first, which was the game changer, because it was supposed to be mastectomy, go live your life. Mm-hmm. So then they're like, all right, now we need to throw the whole book at it. And forgive me, every time I see other survivors that like know their stats like baseball players, I'm like, I should probably commit that to memory. But I just put my head down and just slogged through it. So it was the full regimen of ACT, chemo, Red Devil, Taxol, which Taxol for me was the worst. People say Taxol is the breeze. For me, Taxol was the worst.
Taxol was a breeze for me. I felt like a normal person. AC damn near killed me. I felt hungover for like 5 days straight every other week. Yeah.
You see that? Yeah. AC was not pleasant. Let's not get ourselves twisted here. But Taxol was a bitch. And radiation was tough too, because it was just like constant every day was what, 25 days or 5 weeks, 25 sessions of like coming in same day, show the badge, take off the robe, go there, line it up, take the picture, listen to the music, and it's just so draining. And I think that's been one of the, and we'll get into it, I'm sure, that's been one of the reasons why I've stayed in the community and continued to give back, is because medicine's job is to just give you the medicine, healthcare, right? Get you through it. Here's the regimen, follow through, we'll get you to the other side and keep you alive. But you're not thriving. You're not, like, your quality of life is such shit that, like, having the info that radiation is not a breeze and your skin can be like fucking raw meat by the time you get to the end of it. Having that info would have really is the right thing to do. Not telling us is, I feel, a disservice, because they don't want to depress you. They don't want you to give up hope, but withholding is just as bad. It's just as bad because you're not prepared.
I was not prepared. I said it last season, like somebody lied to me. I felt like I was lied to, and it's the tail end of treatment, right? Well, not if obviously if you're not doing hormone therapy, but like for me, it was like, okay, this is like the end, right? And it was horrible. I actually felt worse during radiation than I did during any of my chemo. Just like the fatigue, like mentally. Then it's over, and you like ring the bell, and you're like, now what? And then nobody tells you how hard survivorship really is. So I was just not prepared for any of that.
At all. I said to a breastie one time, I said, people have been getting cancer since forever, and they've been treating cancer since forever. And sometimes it just feels like we're having circular conversations. I'm like, have you guys, all right, I would love a cure, but in the time that the cure is not available, how about we get a handle on like the treatment? And like full treatment, right? Not just the chemo, but all the things, the radiation, the burns, the creams, the lotions, having them knowing about it, like weight gain. Like, their job is to just keep you compliant, I feel, right? Just getting you along, hope that there's no complications. Everything's going as far as planned, but you're not thriving. You're not your best. You're not prepared. And the indecision, the not knowing, and your trust is in them. So I'm completely trusting y'all to help me make the best decision for me. And if you're not giving me the full picture, ugly and bad and all the things, then how can I make an informed decision?
Right. And all the pamphlets they give you, why is everybody smiling? Why is every person in this damn pamphlet smiling? Like,
smiling.
Again, it's a lie. You're lying to me.
Well, the first lie is that every patient is like 1,005 years old. And so it's like, can I get some people who are like trying to juggle dating? I would like to see that. I would like to go to that support group with the dating people and like how to make a profile, not chair yoga. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, we need a seminar. I feel like there needs to be seminars of like, all right, how do we navigate survivorship? How do we navigate dating and survivorship? Like the whole thing. I agree. I mean, yeah, we're like let loose, and it's like let go, let God. That's basically what they do to us, and it's
terrible.
It truly is.
I had a question. So like in the beginning of your diagnosis, did they give you any like resources? Because for me, and I don't know about you, Shauna, but I did not at all. Not even like a therapist, nothing. So I'm just curious on your end if you
absolutely nada.
Financial assistance? No, right?
Nothing. First of all, I didn't even meet my social worker. I did have a nurse practitioner that helped me get a wig. I have not released that picture ever, never. I may do it this year just because for shits and giggles. That I look like a golden girl. Like I had like a severe, like a Edna Mode kind of bob situation. Horrible. That's what she helped me get, whatever, God bless her. But I didn't know I had a social worker until the second to last Taxol, because I didn't even, like they told me, pay attention for neuropathy. If you're not in medicine, you don't even know, like, even if you Google neuropathy, you don't know what to look for. So I didn't realize until I couldn't button my shirt that like my fingers weren't working. And so that's when I was like, can I talk to someone? Oh, did you not meet whatever her name is, your social worker? I'm like, I have one. So that lets you know how behind the 8 ball I was. When I met the social worker, she gave me a printout, like a printout that, you know, when you like back in day in school when they like made a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy, and it was just like this like really blurred printout.
And really dark.
And really dark. So it was like a 5-page, like stapled printout of all these resources and things. I called them, I would say 7 of the 10 were out of business, disbanded, didn't serve breast cancer patients, were located in like New York. And I live in New York, kind of close to Long Island. These were resources that were like in Buffalo and Binghamton, which is like close to Canada. So I'm like, okay, how is this helpful to me? So that's just to let you know that they're just not, again, doing the work to support the patient fully. They've got you covered if you have a complication health wise, but they're not really supporting your life, your lifestyle during and after that journey, unless you have something specific to bring to the table, and then they'll try to redirect you. So yeah, didn't have shit. Sorry, Rosalie.
No, but I seriously missed out on so much. Like in the beginning of my diagnosis, I wish that I actually knew about these different orgs that provided financial assistance, because I could have applied. It was after chemotherapy that I found one and I applied and I got $300. But that's it.
That's
Nothing
it.
else.
And
Yeah.
P.S. The clock is ticking with these things, which is like another thing that kind of, I understand the need for it, but it gets me annoyed that like a lot of these services are like when you are in active treatment. In that window of active treatment, maybe if you're lucky, it'll extend to a year outside of active treatment.
Exactly.
But again, if you don't know what you don't know, if you don't even know they exist, if you don't even can't even put your head up above water, because in treatment you're just following what they tell you, so you don't even have an idea of your needs until well after, and then you look and you're like, oh, it's been 2 years, oh sorry, can't help you, because you're outside of that window. It's really a bummer. It's really unfortunate. So it's better a little bit now because we have each other to kind of share information, but it was definitely worse when I was diagnosed 7 years ago, 7 plus.
Were you treated on Long Island, or did you pick a hospital in New York City?
I did. I was treated at Monter on Long Island. Yeah. I did try. Listen, you get cancer, the first thing you look at Sloan, you look at all those things, because that's where cancer people go. But I guess what I realized when my son was sick, that they don't do a good enough job of telling people. You think you get cancer, you just need to get through the chemo and then you can go off and live your life. You don't realize that once you get that cancer diagnosis, you come into chronic illness community. And so that means your needs change. You can't just you could try to flip flop between doctors, but that one needs your chart, that one needs your chart. So you need to be centralized. So I needed to join a network because I didn't want to worry about having my physical faxed to my urologist, fax to my cardiologist. I needed to be in a system, and I needed to know that I was going to chemo, be able to park, find my doctor. I didn't need that stress of traffic, commuting, because it's not just a one and done. You're going to be seeing at least 1 or 2 doctors in different specialties very often for the rest of your life if you're lucky. And that's something that they don't make abundantly clear when you're diagnosed.
No, absolutely. And even though some of the big hospital systems, especially in New York, like NYU, my chemo and my oncologist is all in one hospital. But then my plastic surgeon's 10 blocks away. And then you try to make all your appointments in one day. And then you're running all over New York City. And you're like, this isn't easy. It's not as easy as I thought it was going to be. And then the commuting, having to have somebody bring you to and from chemo. Because, I was in a coma on the way home.
Oh yes.
From chemo.
Oh yes.
So, yeah.
Oh yes.
You can't drive yourself there. So you talked about, a little bit about self-advocating for yourself, firing your original primary care doctor. What was your experience like with your care team at the hospital you chose to be treated at?
They were very nice. I really have as far as I was treated, it helped having a mom who was the bad cop to my good cop. You need someone that's if it's not gonna be you, which it has become me, but having someone who's a take no nonsense, you have to, as women, you're socialized to kind of play small and quiet. You mistake being kind and nice for being meek and mild, and you realize like that one does not equal the other. It's a scam. It's a scam that you can be direct and you can be forceful and be still in a package of a nice person that's caring and kind and considerate. And so, yeah, my treatment was good. I did have to push for many reasons. I'm sure that for many reasons. When people, it's a 9 to 5 for a lot of people. You're screaming, "Oh my God, I'm a cancer patient," and you're pulling your cancer card. But for someone else, it's their 9 to 5 that pays their bills. And so you're no different from any other person that's coming to see that doctor today, right? So you do have to like get your face in their face sometimes and be like, "I've called. I need to be seen. I got to go to work. My 9 o'clock appointment AM doesn't mean that I should see the doctor at 12 noon. I got to go to work. You guys do want me to pay this bill that you're going to send to my house like in 30 days, right? So,
100%.
so I can't spend my whole life here. I got to go. So the treatment I say was good. There are definitely moments when I'm like, am I getting this like crap attitude because you're in a bad mood, or is it because I'm Black? That's just like something I have to like reconcile with in any setting, not just in the healthcare setting. That's something I grapple with. Am I getting shit treatment, or someone being short with me, or someone telling me, "Oh, I don't know," in a flippant way because they really are just bitchy or tired or preoccupied, or is it because I'm Black? Don't know. But you still do have to engage in your care. You do have to. I have written letters. I've shared it on Instagram on this 3-part series of like firing off fire ass letters, CCing everyone under the sun, talking to office managers, talking to their managers. Like I take that rage and that anger that I have for being in this world, for having had cancer, and direct it in this, I feel, healthy way, which is like push for change. Because it's not just for me. Like when the person that I had to escalate something said, "Well, this has never happened before." And I said, "Don't tell me that. I resent the fact that you even said that to me. Maybe it's the first time someone circled back to you. How about you really tell me how many patients have walked away from this practice this year? Can you give me that number?" Because we don't all have the bandwidth to come back. It's the circling back that takes a lot of energy, right? You could just be like, "Fuck that noise. I'm taking my chart and I'm leaving." And they're none the wiser. To them, maybe you moved. Maybe you lost insurance. But it's my job, or it's at least my mission, to let them know, "No, I didn't move. I moved because this office is trash. And you people need to do something about the woman that's sitting in the front, because your doctor is great, but the front office is like out to lunch. And so like, get your shit in order."
I've read a couple of the letters and they're incredible. You turn your rage into like purpose and it's incredible. It's so good.
It's glorious. It's glorious. And I love to circle back because I tell them, I'm like, "I will circle back in like about 2-3 months and I want to know, what have you done?" And so like, again, not everyone has the energy to do that because fighting cancer is hard enough. But yeah, I don't go to rage rooms. I write rage letters.
Never been to a rage room, but I might after this conversation. Like it just sounds so therapeutic. But or maybe I'll start writing letters. I don't know.
Yeah.
So you mentioned before, like there wasn't like a ton of resources through your hospital. They gave you phone numbers, either out of service, out of order, no longer available. Where did you find community or resources yourself?
The final straw for me, and it wasn't through my hospital, it was just like Googling. Again, it's hard when you live in New York, but not like New York is just so vast. So when you Google breast cancer in quotes plus New York, you will get Binghamton, you will get Buffalo, you will get Hamptons. So when I did that, I got a support group at one of the like colleges in my town. And when I went in, I should have known, I should have turned around right at the door, that it was like in the basement of the social work department on like a Wednesday night. And it was like those Michael Myers movies with like the flickering lights in the hallway. And I'm like, "Oh my God, is this like a support group or a haunted house?" But I just chugged through because, you're desperate, right? So you'll get it however you can get it. And when I went in, I was the only Black woman, but that happens to me a lot, especially in the suburbs. So I was like, all right, whatever, you make the best with what you have. But I was truly the youngest by decades. And I'm like, who's going to relate to me at all? All right, that's fine. I'll sit through it. And they started talking, well, my granddaughter and my grandson. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to get dating advice from these people. And it was just so unsupportive and just so cold that I'm like, all right, if I can't get it in real life, in the flesh, I'm going to the internet, even though they say never go to the internet. So I went right back to my Google, and my Google led me to Instagram. And I found, I'll say it, Paige was the first person I found who was sharing her story so publicly. And I was like, oh, that's weird because I'm culturally, we're not about sharing your story like this. You're not about putting yourself out there. So I was just like amazed that someone could just like really put them out there, like literally put themselves out there. And I was like, well, she's a previvor. Like, she doesn't have cancer. She's Black. She's like, we have nothing in common, but she had, I think, just had her mastectomy. And I was like, oh, this is intriguing. What scar cream does she use? And so from finding her, and the Breasties were ended up getting established and meeting people again, I think that was what really helped, particularly as a young person, is meeting folks in an informal setting. Clearly cancer brought us together, but it's not that doom and gloom basement of the social work department kind of vibes. It was more like we're at a local restaurant having spicy margs, but then also talking about treatment, and also saying, fuck all the people that ghosted us, and also making new friends. And so it was through Instagram, it was through meeting folks informally in informal settings that I was like, okay, there are me's out there. They don't necessarily look exactly like me, whether by skin or by age or even by diagnosis, but like there are folks out there that get it. And so that was the beginning of the love affair and the beginning of me kind of dipping my toe into sharing my story.
Yeah, I have one thought with that, because I think we're similar in the sense that culturally, when we see someone being so open about their story, it's just weird. Very weird. So I have a question. How, like, what made you want to be open, even by seeing Paige, sharing her story?
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, honest, real tea is that like it didn't happen right away. Like I found Paige's profile and I found like community, I would say 2017 or 18, maybe 18 or 19. But like I had a locked profile, no avatar, like blank, like straight up stranger danger. I was not sharing. I was taking in info, but I was not putting myself, definitely not on the gram. Face to face, meeting people, certainly I share my story, but not putting myself out there like that publicly because again, culturally it was not acceptable. And also too, it was like something so painful. Do I just want to put it out there as fodder? Right? Like I didn't know how it was going to be received. It was really like early Instagram days were like wild west days. People weren't doing it like that. So I'd say it took me 2 or 3 years. Really, I think during the pandemic, if not just a little before, I would just put a little story or a post out there and delete it really quick or archive it because I was like, I can't believe I did that. So I took my time with it and I'm grateful that I did because I really was able to find my voice and understand my story first before putting it out there for consumption.
I feel you on that. I did that with this entire podcast.
Surprise.
Surprise. Yeah. I think, sometimes it takes you like a little bit of time to like process what's going on, how much you want to share, how much you want to hold back. I mean, I didn't really have still have like a private Instagram. Like I'm still trying to keep that sense of me. But when it comes to sharing my story, I'm here talking about a lot that I never thought that I would share. So I definitely resonate with you on that.
An open closed book, if you will.
Yeah. We're picking and choosing, right?
That's okay. That's what's wonderful about it. It's really a choose your own adventure. There is no right or wrong way to share your story. Actually, I take it back. The wrong way is not being your authentic self. I think anytime you can be vulnerable, whether it's like just sharing, hey, here's a cream that I use, that's still imparting something that someone didn't know. And I think it's still a gift. So yeah, I really think people should take their time with it. It's your story and it's so precious and it belongs to you. So you get to decide when you want to share it with whomever, whether it's a profile that's private with 3 people or an open profile with whatever, 3 million people.
Right. Well, your story can impact those 300 or those 3 million. So,
Mm-hmm.
so I mean, we can go little, we can go big, but it's going to,
Yeah,
somebody's going to get something out of it. Right. So
exactly.
you have basically then have kind of grown with the Breasties.
Yeah, exactly. We've like side by side, like they found each other and created the Breasties, and I found them just around that same time. And we've, grown together, in these, 5 years or so since I found them.
So for those that don't know who the Breasties are, I don't know at this point, I feel like everyone does, but could you just maybe tell the people out there what the Breastie organization, nonprofit community does?
Sure, no problem. So it's really the first all-inclusive community that's dedicated to bringing folks that would normally be in their silos, right? Years before, and even still a bit now, that it was like first of all, previvors weren't really recognized until maybe the 90s. So previvors meaning folks that have some sort of genetic predisposition for cancer. And so there's previvors, survivors like us, and thrivers, those in the metastatic community, and caregivers. Like before, everyone were in their little pockets. So Breasties were the first that was like, we can all learn from each other. Why wouldn't you put a previvor and a survivor together? Sometimes previvors, God forbid, knock on wood, they become survivors. They end up having cancer. So who better to teach them everything they know but a survivor? So yeah, it was the first community dedicated to putting these communities together that were in the that were touched by breast and gynecologic cancers. And so they provide, again, like meetups, community experiences, and peer-to-peer connection. And so yeah, they were founded, and I found them, and it was a game changer for me. And yeah, I've grown with them. And now, again, as you mentioned earlier, I'm happy to be chief of community and engagement with them.
This is your official announcement.
I guess. Breaking news.
Breaking news.
I've said it kind of, they said it as well. But yes, I say long cons work. I was able to like bide my time and convince them to put me on staff. No, it was an honor to listen. I was going to do it for free. I was doing it for free. There are folks that get cancer, and rightfully so. It's an ugly chapter in their book, and they never want to revisit it again. They close it and they move on their lives, and that's okay. And I get it. But for me, I just felt like there was so much more I could give, that it was I felt I was duty bound to like share what I know, or just impart tips and facts and tricks about how to navigate it. So I was doing it on Instagram, on Facebook for people. So to have this official role with the community has been a joy. And so I hope to continue to grow with them and share with the community, because it's so needed. It's so needed. I see how the game has changed. Not just necessarily the Breasties, but just us having each other, us having this like tool, this gift that is social media, that it's so democratizing. If you have a phone, you have a voice, you have a platform, and you can make change for those, whether it's 300 or 3 million.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. So you also started an initiative called Reclaim October. So this year you're partnering with the Breasties for Reclaim October.
Absolutely. It's needed now more than ever. I think the journey, again, using that word journey, of someone touched by cancer is that you feel like pink is cancer, raising money in October. It's so great. Visibility. This is fantastic. All the good things. And it wasn't for me until maybe year 3 of survivorship when I was feeling an ick. And I couldn't figure out what the ick was about it. And I was like, is it because like I have cancer and I'm repulsed by the pink or something? Like, why am I being so triggered? And what it was is that I saw on Instagram, of all places, some person that was advertising. It was like late September. And they were advertising, they owned a hair salon. And they were saying that they're going to be selling pink extensions or clip-ins. And like, girls, get ready because it's coming. And like, money's going to be raised for the clip-ins. And I was like, okay. I was like, clearly, she must be a survivor. So I started Googling and digging, right? I was looking at her profile and I was like, clearly she had cancer. So I'm scrolling, looking for any sign of indication that she had cancer, or maybe someone she knew, some loved one was touched by cancer. Like, why was this call to action happening? And there was nothing about it. And I said, well, again, people are private. Maybe she's just not disclosing it. But surely there's like a feel good component about this, right? Raising money for who? For a GoFundMe? A charity? No charity was named. And no talk about how much you're raising for these clip-ins. Let's say 50,000. Are you giving 50,000 to a charity or what? And so that was the ick that I felt like, oh, this is not charity. This is capitalism. This is not charity. This is a money grab. Oh, okay, cool. Got it. I hate it. Thank you. I hate it. And so that's what happened. I was on a live with another breast cancer survivor, and I was like, this sucks. This person talking about cancer and raising money, like what's being raised? And I was like, you know what? We're the ones that have cancer or are touched by cancer. And we're the ones that should be talking about it, that we should be leading the conversations. And we're the ones that should be having a say about which charities should get the money, because we're the ones that need the money, right? Whether you're 3 months inactive treatment or you fall out of that year and nobody wants to support you. So like, it's needed. It's so needed that these people are doing a money grab. I'm like, it fucking sucks. And we should be like reclaiming the month. We should reclaim October as ours because it belongs to us. And so Reclaim October was born. And it was just really it was like frustration. It was born out of frustration, and it was saying that we needed to be the ones in the driver's seat making this decision, making noise, because so many people, me included, certainly maybe even y'all, didn't know better. Like, it took me 3 years after being diagnosed to get the ick. And if I never had cancer, maybe I would never have gotten the ick. I would have just bought that Chiquita banana with the sticker on it, with the pink sticker on it, no less, thinking I was doing good. Or I would just throw my dollar into that jar that's at these places that tells you it's going to cancer research or cancer something, thinking I was doing good. But now I know better. I know to ask these hard questions about how much is being raised. Why are you raising it? What is this charity doing? And like, what's the overhead cost? And if you're using breast cancer survivors, are you paying them? Are you doing right by them? Or are they just up there for a splashy, like you want someone that's like bald and looks miserable because that's going to really drive the point. You know what I mean? And so it's been such a joy to kind of start it organically, just a regular person online with other regular people who felt similarly. And we just use Instagram to do that, which is to raise noise, to like make change, to raise funds. And I think we've raised something about over 70,000, almost 80,000 in 3 years. Now, when I say 3 years, it's just in October. This is an initiative that starts on October 1st and it ends on the 31st. And in just those 3 months, we raised over 70,000. And I'm very proud of it.
And you should be. That is absolutely insane. And it goes to organizations that are like not, I don't want to say like quote unquote normal organizations, like the same organizations you see everybody kind of donating to in the month of October. All the walks go to specific major breast cancer organizations. Like you've donated in the past to like Medivivor, which helps fund research for stage 4, and like like kind of like more, I don't want to say like low key,
like grassroots. Like I just feel that there's so many, who better but the people of the community will know the needs of the community, right? So yes, you can give to the big organizations that have like 3.9 trillion gajillion dollars in funds, or you can give to the small one in Kansas that was probably started by someone who had cancer, who knows specifically the needs, right? They know that maybe they don't have the right kind of transportation to get patients to their appointments. So they would use those funds for transportation, or they know that the waiting room or the chemo infusion place is like drab and there's no snacks. So they would get the snacks or make it less drab. You know what I mean? Like, they really speak to the needs of their community. So it makes sense to really get the money in those hands because they will spend it wisely, every second of it. It won't just pad the pockets of folks that are paying for jets and like expensive luncheons.
Well, yeah, when you go and look at those financial reports and you actually see where that money is going, it's absolutely despicable.
Yes. Not on our watch. Not on our watch. No, we try to really give it to places that could really use it, that are grateful for it, that will spend it wisely. And it just feels good all around. It feels good for me and for all the participants that join teams. And it feels good to the recipients and to the members of their communities too. So how could that any of that be wrong? I don't think so.
It's funny you mentioned the Chiquita banana. Like I was walking down Canal Street and I saw a garbage truck, and the garbage truck had this ginormous pink breast cancer ribbon. And I was like, well, I mean, cancer is trash, but like, come on, like what is the correlation here? Like,
yeah, give me something more. Yeah.
Right. And
yeah.
I mean, I didn't go Google and like look to see if they donate money or anything like that, but it's so insane how that can just be splashed anywhere.
And folks won't ask the questions because you wouldn't think to. That's the thing, is that like the system is reliant on everybody just playing their part. Mm-hmm. So you see the pink, it's October, you have extra money, you give it to that thing. And so that's part of the reason why Reclaim October is so important, is that we're educating folks on what pinkwashing means, what it means to give your dollar, what it means to ask for stories of survivors. And it gives the survivors and folks touched by cancer too a distraction. It's like some people dread October, especially when you've had cancer. They go into a dark hole, which is fine. I don't blame them. But giving them this thing to do, joining a team and raising funds and taking back the narrative, really lifts them up and really sets them on a good path, and like carries them through the rest of the months too. It's like, all right, I've got no energy for cancer shit 11 months of the year, but for 1 month, you've got my full attention and I'm in it to win it. So I really, 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 truly enjoy it and can't wait for this year.
What are your goals for this year's Reclaim October?
I think it's just the same. It's really just to, obviously, I like my alumni to come back, all the alumni to come back, but really just let folks know that you don't need to be an influencer with a whole bunch of following. You don't need to know 3 million actual people, that you can get involved in something that's bigger than you and make an impact, whatever you have to contribute, whether it's your time or it's your voice or it's your platform or if it's a connection, that you could really make a difference this month. And yeah, it just makes folks really, I think, go back into their personal journeys feeling like, oh, I got this. I can do something. And the ripple effects are so wide that I'm like ready. I'm game. Yeah. That's what I would like.
What does like behind the scenes of running Reclaim October look like for you?
Okay. Picture it. You see the meme of like SpongeBob with everything on fire and folks are zigzagging and papers are flying which place? It's a little bit like that, but like worse. It's a lot of coordination. How we've done it in the past, it's been like, all right, October has 4 weeks and each week has a theme. THEME. And each theme has a team, TEAM. And that's comprised of folks that are dedicated to that theme. So whether it's beauty, talking about your body, exercise, yoga, breathing, meditation, whether it's about community, that's another week too, about mobilizing with folks, community, whether it's about stories, about emboldening people to share their stories. Each team, each theme, and it has one singular charity that they're raising funds for. I'm so excited about that. I love it so much. It's a lot of trying to get the right person on the right team. Who's the leader? Everyone, it's very democratic. So everybody's voice counts. Like, I feel like if this is the thing that folks want to commit their time to, and that's the only thing they want to do, that I want it to be such a prime and perfect situation. I want everyone to know that they matter and they count. I don't want anyone to feel like little or small having been involved in this. The best thing aside from the money, which feels great, but it's me reading the notes that folks send to me after it's over that is like, I was so ready to just put my head down and tap out, that I did this on a lark and it's the best thing I did. I feel great. That stuff is my drug. If tamoxifen was anything like this, I would take it every day for the rest of my life, but it's not. It's another story. But yeah, it's just really making folks feel seen. That's all that, whether it's Reclaim or it's my personal work or it's my work with the Breasties, you don't feel seen when you're in this process, when you get diagnosed. Yeah, they see you, but they don't truly see you. They don't truly hear you. They're not seeing you for you. You're just a person, hormone positive, triple negative. You click on those boxes. So actually seeing people and speaking to their strengths and giving them a platform to be their full and authentic selves in the name of raising money for breast cancer is everything I'm about. And so that's what's important to me, and that's what I want to see happen this year. And if I do that just even a little bit, it'd be a mission accomplished as far as I'm concerned.
Now, you shared that you've had people reach out to you. Have you had any of the organizations that you've featured reach out to you and just share the impact?
Oh yes, oh yes. Like I have this like stable of, we've raised money for so many organizations that, again, the money in total it's been quite a bit, but for each one maybe it's been 8,000 or 10,000 or maybe even 2,000. It made a difference. Every dollar counted, and they were so grateful. Someone with an operating budget of 4,000 for the whole year, it's like their part-time job, right? And you give them $3,000 just for being there is such a gift for them and made such a difference. They enjoy it. So we have Broca Strong has received money from us in the past. Metafiber, as you said, has received loads of money from us in the past. I would say maybe 30,000 or something in the past couple of years. And so seeing what they've done with the money, Lipstick Angels has received money, and it's Keep a Breast has received money in the past. And just seeing that how they've turned that money into something that they've done for their communities has been a gift. I follow them all on Instagram, and I see, I'm going to ask for another little report card to see how everyone is doing. But it makes me feel good. It makes the community feel good too. And it brings visibility to them, because even if it's not loads and loads of money, but it brings new eyes. It brings new advocates for them that's able to communicate their messaging to their friends and family, right? That they wouldn't have had before. So it's truly a win-win. It's really a win-win.
Definitely, yes. For anyone that would want to get involved, whether it's an organization or somebody who wants to be a part of like the community themes, what are like the first steps? How do they get in contact?
No problem. Well, they should definitely email me at trish@thebreasties.org. And I'll be sure to give that to you so that you can put in your show notes. They can email me, but keep on the lookout both on my Instagram and the Breasties Instagram. We're going to be putting out official nominations for some organizations. We have some slots open. Grassroots, please, preferable, open. So keep a lookout on all our socials, because I involve everyone that chooses to get involved is involved in the whole process. Like, here are the names. What are your thoughts? What is the themes? They're in charge of the programming. They set the tone. I say, treat our social media like it's a 24-hour cable network. So if you want to go live at 2 a.m. to talk about lipsticks or how to wrap your head wrap or what have you, that's what you do. So if they pay attention to my social or send me an email, I will get them on a team. I will get them a theme. I will give them a job to do, because we're all in this together.
We're going to put all those organizations that are being featured too in our show notes. So for anybody that wants to donate money or their time, all that information will be in there.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. So you do a lot of advocacy work. How do you balance that, but also like living your life?
Okay, I'm a little stumped how to answer that question, because I haven't figured that out. And in full honesty and transparency.
I appreciate the honesty, because I think we're all trying to figure it out,
We're-
honestly.
yeah, folks that say, well, it's easy. No, it's not, because this is what fuels me, is this. And this is what drains me. So I am stuck in a like loop here of like doing the thing that exhausts me and doing the thing that energizes me. So I haven't figured out the secret sauce. I am learning. I used to have my non-breasty life here and my breasty life there. And I used to always say to people when they're diagnosed, I'm like, you should have 2 Instagrams. Before you do anything, do like a private one that's locked, that'll be just for friends and family. And then you'll do like a breast cancer one so that you can like keep it separate. And I still kind of believe you should do that until you decide what you want to do, right? But I don't. I am giving it to you. Like, people who follow me, I'm like, sorry, you're going to get the like how to do self checks. And then you're going to also get Bravo stuff. I'm going to talk about how I swipe on the swipe sites, the dating sites, and have been unsuccessful. Still looking. Anybody knows anybody single, please give it to me. Send it to me my way. Thank you. My email is in the show notes. So I haven't figured it out. I just try to be my most authentic self. Like, I'm not trying to like compartmentalize. I talk about my exhaustion. I go on breaks. I don't announce them half of the time. I just post and then don't post. And then people are sending me DMs like, are you okay? And I'm okay. I just need to figure this out. I need to like kind of reclaim my time, if you will, so that I can continue to show up, because burnout is real, and burnout will take you out, and then you will find that it gets harder and harder to get that momentum to come back each time you get laid out by being burnt out. So I'm trying not to get to that place of burnout, is to recognize, okay, it's happening again. I'm starting to get overwhelmed. The DMs are starting to like overtake me. So instead of trying to answer them all, accept the fact that I'm not going to, and just tap out for a bit and let someone else. What's wonderful is that there's so many other advocates, all of you right here on this call, that I'm not carrying the load by myself. There are plenty of other people to share it with me. So I don't have to feel like this is dire, I can never step away. No, you should step away, or else the next time you step away, it will probably be for good. Because that's what happens, is that people like really get overwhelmed and it's too much, because we deal with loss. I've had to say goodbye to friends. I've walked friends through being stage 1 to 3 to 4, and are now metastat. You know what I mean? So it's such a roller coaster that can flip on you any day. You need to be your strongest self every time you show up, because if not, then you won't have anything to contribute to the community and to yourself.
That is such great advice. I mean, especially like you said, in this community where things can just literally happen overnight. People can go from different stages to no longer being here. And to see that is so devastating. It can be so, what's the word? It's like gut wrenching, to the point where it's like, then you start, it's almost like a spiral, right? Like, do you find yourself, and like, sometimes you're just like, all of us, yeah, like people I follow, now who are metastatic and they have children. And I just like, I see it. And then I feel like, oh my God, like, like you start almost thinking about your own fate.
Yeah, your mortality. Oh, it is. It asks a lot. Continuing to show up in this community asks a lot. Whether you're just a passenger, kind of like watching stories and watching, clicking on posts, or rolling up your sleeve and you're an advocate or an activist, whatever, it takes a lot to continue to be in here. And we know it's not that we're just kind of like crossing paths in the chemo room. You're getting a front seat to people's lives when you're on Instagram. So you'll see that when they had to go back into treatment, or that their kid is really taking them going into hospice very hard, you really get a front seat to people's trauma. And especially if you're like in your bed scrolling, like sometimes it's the last thing you see before you go to sleep. How can you not see that and immediately not freak out and start re-examining your my charts and saying, well, maybe I missed something here. It asks a lot, and it's very gut wrenching. And so we have to tend to ourselves. We have to tend to each other, or else, we won't last.
And like, also, the setting boundaries, I think, too, whether it's like, okay, I don't do that before bed, or I'm going to take a weekend and just be so present in my life that maybe I'm not going to I'm never going to forget that I've had cancer, or I don't want to call it like cancer land, or like the cancer, like when you're just in that space. But like, there's some weekends I just want to feel like I was myself, like pre-diagnosis. And so I think sometimes setting those boundaries, whether it's in the evening for a week, a month, you doing whatever it is to get yourself into that good balance, is just like so important. And it's like not talked about enough, because people feel like they're failing the community or failing their followers.
No. I've said it time and time again. I have said whether you should have like one private and one like public or whatever, or one breasty account and one non. But even if you do that, at the very least have a Finsta, which I have. Very proudly have a Finsta that follows not one breasty. It's like the account that I follow all my Real Housewives. I follow Andy Cohen. I follow architecture and flowers, and that's a safe space. That's really a place where you can. So if you do want to scroll, right? You're scrolling and you're like losing yourself in like things that bring you joy, but you have to be mindful of learning your boundaries and your triggers so that you don't get activated, even subconsciously, when you engage.
Well, I will also say with the 2 separate accounts, because I have that one with friends and family and another for, the whole cancer land.
Mm-hmm.
The algorithm too, though, because when I'm on my personal account with my family and friends, the videos that get shown to me are different than
Mm-hmm.
the other account. And also the other thing is like with my personal account, I just like posting goofy ass shit on there that like I want to share with my family and friends because they know like who I am. Where
Nice.
like with the other account, not really people like really, really know me like that well. So I can't really post that because they're like, what is going on with her? You know what I mean? Why is she posting that? Yeah. So I want to keep that separate. So I do believe the 2 separate accounts.
See, I don't have one. I have like my personal account that's like locked up. Like I have had like some people in the community add me and I accept, but no, mine is locked up. And I don't even post on my personal account. That's why I'm like, I don't know if I would have like an advocate, like my own like advocacy account. There would be nothing. It would be just me like lurking.
Okay.
So,
Well, listen, again, the trick is knowing yourself.
100%.
Once you know yourself, like it's not like you need to have one. If you're interested, then you do. But if you're like, this is your work, right? You don't need to have an Instagram. You're not doing reels. You're not, making posts and carousels. So you don't need to have that extra thing that's going to be a stressor on you.
Right.
I do advocate, but also mine is a creative outlet. So that's why you'll get a housewives, maybe with a cancer spin, maybe not, on my Instagram,
I mean, to
and
be
then
honest,
deal with it.
I love it. I love it because I'm like, okay, what's happening here? So it is typically on our like podcast account that I see it. So I was like, oh, this is nice. It's like a break from cancer.
That's my contribution to the community, is like, making it fun. I don't want to make light of it, but I do want to make it fun because it is we're chronically in the cancer community. And so like, if we're going to be in this community forever, which is the hope, right? You live as long as you can live, then it's a little bit of comedy. It's a little bit of me freaking out at my chart. It's a little bit of me crying at the doctor office saying like, fuck, I'm still here again. And then it's also like me pretending to be on a housewife reunion and acting like I'm debating with my cancer tumors.
Yeah, definitely.
I love your John Mayer content. That always kills me too.
I've been playing that cancer card for 2 years now with this man. I don't know why he's not taking the bait. Well, I mean, not bait necessarily.
It's coming, Trish. We're going to manifest that for you.
I can feel it in my bones. I'm going to wear him down.
It's coming. And also, side note, I see Andy Cohen all the time in the park. All the time.
I'm coming for him too. No,
right.
I'm just
come
kidding.
to work with me. It'll be take Trish to work day, and then you can come with me.
No, I'm delighted. No, it's just, again, well, who else are we going to share that with, right? Like, you don't want to just fight cancer and beat cancer. Like, you want to have a life after cancer or a life through cancer. And so like, I will talk about my fandom with John Mayer because it gives me joy. And hopefully clearly it gives you the chuckles too. So again, mission accomplished. Let's be in this joyful moment together until I meet him and live happily ever after. And then you guys are on your own.
And then we're just never going to see Trish again.
No.
Off into the sunset with John Mayer, and then we're never going to see her again.
Yeah. No, I'll be a woman of leisure.
So good.
Psych, not really.
Hey, you never know. We're manifesting this for you.
Okay, good.
So we talked about all the advocacy work that you do, how the biggest advocacy work you can do is being an advocate for yourself. So how do you continue to advocate for yourself when you're no longer in active treatment?
You have to listen. Advocacy requires you being fully engaged with your healthcare plan. You have to be like, again, I'm still reconciling the body betrayal that I felt of having a cancer and not knowing it existed. But so now it's my duty to have a PhD, master's thesis on my body. I want to be able to say, like, this is right, this is not right, this is my norm, this is not my norm, so that I can constantly keep my doctor on my toes. I don't want him to just dictate to me. I want us to have like a boardroom rumble about what's the next best steps. And that won't happen if I don't come to the discussion fully prepared. And so that's the first task, right? Is knowing your shit, knowing yourself. Don't get intimidated by saying like, oh, I Googled it, like they're turning their nose. Google has given me quite a few things, thank you very much, that I've been able to use in my arguments with my doctors. So I shall not hear any naysay talk about Google. So you Google the shit out of whatever the fuck you're talking about so you can sound like you too went to medical school or not, whatever. And so that's the first step. And the second step is just like really not playing small. I can't overstate enough the fact that nice guy doesn't always win in the end. And if your a definition of nice guy means, sure, doctor, it's okay, and like just quietly accepting it because since he's the doctor, he or she is the doctor and they know best, you are doing yourself so dirty. You have to be, I think it's a form of respect to be like, doc, are you sure? Do you know what you're talking about? Let me get back to you on that. I'm just not going to accept it because you said so. Because again, science is general. Science is not specific to me. Same treatment for the same cancer can render different results for different people because that's how the fuck biology works. So that means I can't just sit passively and be like, well, sure, I'll take this or that. No, tell me why you think that. Keeping them on their toes and keeping you on your toes so that you feel like you want to feel like you're doing all that you can do for yourself. So if God forbid, knock on wood, cancer comes back, you can't tell yourself, well, fuck, I shoulda, coulda, woulda. For me, shoulda, coulda, woulda is like Trish 1.0. That was the old pre-cancer me, was like, oh, I should have and I could have. At this point, I do not give a fuck that I come back. You're going to count on me to come back at you. Not aggressively, not at first. Not aggressively at first, but like I will come back at you and I will have you tell me why. And so that's what you can do. It's like not be afraid. Even if you have to do the thing and feel like your insides are going to go out, and then by the time you get to your car, you cry, just tell yourself, hold the tears until you get to the car. Hold the tears until you get to the car and be your best bitchy self in the moment. If that's what required of you to advocate, and then go cry in the car or at Trader Joe's, whatever. But do that thing because then I don't have any regrets. In all my treatment and all the things, I personally don't have any regret of how I showed up because I know that I showed up fully and I did the best I could. And so that's all you can do for yourself. Then that's you being the best advocate you can be. Absolutely.
I love the way that you just explained that, Trish.
Thanks. I feel like I rambled, but okay.
No, you did it. No, I think you honestly nailed that question.
Yeah, I also wanted to add to that. It's like when you're in the appointment with your doctor too, don't let them rush you either. Because there are times when they try to rush you, you're like, wait a second, this is my time and I'm also paying you through my insurance. So
absolutely.
You better be fucking here for that hour that we booked. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You also made me sit in this waiting room for 2 hours. Like you're going to listen to all my questions.
Exactly. And let me tell you something. When you read because now again, we're all proficient in my chart or whatever it is that you have, that your system is. When you read your chart after the appointment, they say all this stuff. And I'm like, were we at the same appointment? Advise, counsel patient on advise patient on such and so. And I'm like, when the fuck did you do that? I don't remember.
Read the my chart. Yeah.
It is a revelation. When I read my chart and I saw all this counseled patient on, advised patient on, I was like, that did not fucking happen. Advised about recurrence, this and that and the other. I'm like, no, you didn't. How? You were trying to get out of there within like minute 14. I saw you look at the watch. So no, they're putting it on your chart because that's how they're justifying it towards their billing. So I'm going to get every last second of that appointment and have all my questions answered because remember, if you don't ask it at that appointment, you're going to be playing catch up with them and phone tag after. And it's not the same vibe, right? You have to do it in person while you're there because when you lose that window, it's just not the same. So I insist on having my question answered when I can. Obviously, if you have follow-ups, it's one thing. But when I'm at that appointment, my doctor knows. She goes, what else is on that list? Because I surely do have a list. And I have a pen and I go through it. Check, 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 check. And she goes, okay, what else you got? She knows. She's not getting out of there until I go through the last point. And I'm like, okay, God, I'm good. And then we can both walk away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, Shauna and I like talked about this in season 1 and in season 2 as well. We use an app called Abridge, and it basically records your doctor appointments, and it will also pick up like the medication name or just anything that's just, you know, you don't really know how to spell essentially.
Nice.
So I have done that. Shauna, I believe you have done that too. And it's just a game changer because then you get to listen back to actually listen to what they actually said. And there was one time where I recorded my session with my plastic surgeon, and I wanted to just make sure that I didn't think that I was crazy to think that this person just didn't know what she was talking about, or just kind of like going around the loop. So I gave it to my boyfriend. I was like, can you listen to this and just let me know what you think? And he's like, yo, she's just like running in circles. And I'm like, okay, great. Thank you. Because I just needed someone else to tell me so that I don't think I'm crazy.
Hot tip. I'll write it down and I'll look into it because, yeah, listen, chemo brain is a thing. You're getting rushed. You're traumatized. Your appointments are usually at the same facility where your chemo was. So that's traumatic in itself. They're rushing you. So yeah, having that is a great help because you're like, did I say that? Did they ask that? Did I talk about that? So knowing that exists is a great, great hot tip.
And I think it also does like transcribe it for you. Like you can go back and like read it. And yeah, it's an incredible for anybody who like blacks out during appointments like I do.
But I mean, it all depends. Doctors don't like to be recorded. So maybe you have to ask. But there was one time with one of my boyfriend's doctors, he was like, you cannot record me. And we're like, oh, like he's like, it's against the law. And it's like, okay, what law? Like I don't know. Like I was able to record my appointments, so I wasn't sure with his. So I just wanted to say, just make sure.
Yeah, good to know. No, it's great. It's great to, I'll look into it because yeah, I mean, it's important to have these. Anything that you can help to like bolster your argument, to just feel good about where you stand. It's good with me. So yeah, I'll look into it too.
But it's funny because I didn't find this out from a doctor. I found this out from somebody in our community. This is right. This is what we're kind of looking for. All the little tips, all the little tricks, those radiation creams. What are you using other than calendula cream? Because I think calendula cream is bullshit. I don't think it works. That's just that's like my hot take on calendula cream. Like other tips, other tricks that I obviously checked in with my providers about, but had I not found this community, I don't even know where I'd be, to be completely honest with you.
No, it's really a game changer because they don't know. The doctors tell you what they have been told. And a lot of time they're not getting any kind of pushback from their patients. So their patients are not circling back to say these things are not working. They're just kind of like, there's the idea that you need to like suffer through your treatment. That maybe suffering means it's working, or maybe you don't want to complain. And so that it is this tool of community, this gift of community that we're able to share with one another. Like, actually, that's not working. Do this instead. That we can really make changes for each other. So yeah, totally into that.
Well, Trish, thank you so much for coming on. We're like so glad we tracked you down.
No, you guys been so patient. You caught me at a busy time, but it's been a joy. Honestly, it's been a joy. Thank you for having me.
Trish, where can people find you? What are your tags?
You can find me on Instagram at Trish_New York City. You can find me at a John Mayer concert in your nearest city. And you can find me on TikTok as well, Trish_New York City. And yeah, give me a DM or slide in my DMs. I really enjoy that. Slide in my DMs. I'm here for you.
Thank you again so much for joining us. We loved having you. A very special thanks to our podcast producer, Bethany Allard, and our podcast editor, Ayla Anderson.
Thank you all for listening and supporting our podcast. Sharing our stories with you has been incredibly healing for both of us, and we hope it helps other women in their journeys through breast cancer.
Ladies, if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and fellow breasties. Help us reach more women by subscribing and rating us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and now on YouTube. You can follow us on Instagram at TYFTS Podcast and email us at tyftspodcast@gmail.com. We love hearing from you guys, so shoot us a message. We will link any resources from the episode in our show notes.